College of Communications, Architecture, and the Arts. My name is Sergio Tejeda, your host. And each and every week we bring you Game Changers. And this week is no exception. We have my friend Matt Boyle here. Matt Boyle from Sozo Church in Miami, Florida. This is a very special gentleman. It's somebody who has been shaping my journey into Christianity and the belief in God and so forth, because he's able to connect the word with practical examples and what we're going through on a daily basis in this day and age.
I'm trying.
So you're trying. I know. So Matt has a tremendously interesting story. I think it's going to connect with a lot of you watching the show. So Matt, welcome to the show. First off, my friend, welcome to FIU.
Hey, what a joy, what an honor to be here.
And we love your accent. We love your accent here in Miami because you don't hear the British accent as much. Tell us a little bit about your origin story.
Sure.
How, what was it like growing up for you, and what led you to becoming a pastor?
Yeah, I mean, just a normal childhood. I had great upbringing. There was no major crises. I had a pretty stable upbringing. I was brought up in church, and I guess being brought up in something, it shapes you in a way. And I was just really fortunate to have a great mum and dad that just loved us and cared for us, and so I developed my own relationship with God just through my own reading of the Bible and engagement in prayer and things like that. But then I went through something in my early 20s that become maybe the best thing that could have happened to me, though I would not have said that at the time. Because I think hindsight is the greatest teacher. It's when you're going through it, just get me out of it. But when you look back, that was the thing that refined me. That was the thing that helped me.
Right.
And for me, it was depression. I had depression for a couple of years, and I didn't understand what it was. I couldn't even describe what it was to people. It wasn't really spoken about back then. I think there was taboo around mental health, and you're strange, you're crazy. So I had this silent battle that was eating me alive, and I would cry myself to sleep, and I had these horrendous suicidal thoughts that I was dealing with, and I couldn't understand it, because if God's so good, why am I feeling like this? And if I've had a great upbringing, God, I've been a good person, why am I going through this? And life just has this way of lifing, and so Jesus says in the scripture, in this world there will be trouble. And I think there's one thing we're guaranteed in life: we're going to go through stuff. And I went through some stuff, and anyway, I was on a trip in Ghana, and I was on this mission trip. We were feeding orphans, and we were helping build stuff. And I had this sense of calling, and I think everyone has that. I just feel I want to give my life to this. I'm not content. I need to press forward. And bizarrely, mine was to be a pastor. I just had this desire growing up. I want to help people. I want to serve them. Yeah. I want them. And I guess my dream has always been to help people live theirs.
Now, a lot of men, there's a quote that says we all live in quiet desperation, right? Because we're supposed to kind of have it all together.
Yeah.
When we feel that depression, we have these suicidal thoughts, there's not always a group of other men that we can turn to, or an organization that we can turn to. So tell me about that and the struggle that you're seeing with a lot of men that you can relate to, right? Because when you speak at church, you talk about anxiety, we talk about depression. Those aren't necessarily things that are heard at church usually, right? But it's very relatable because everyone's going through something, right? How were you able to kind of steer out of that?
I remember I got this friend, and for the first time in my life, I said, hey, here's what I'm dealing with. And the moment I even shared that, I just felt a release, because I've been pretending. I've been told, the world tells me, social media form us more than we realize. With that feed is feeding you.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're getting is be the best. The difference I've noticed between England and America is, England, you're told to try your best. America, you're told to be the best.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's so many people just living under this
It's
pressure.
subtle, but it's very different.
Yeah, it's very subtle.
Yeah.
But I got to be the best. Who says you got to be the best? What if we've been taking on a narrative that our soul cannot carry? And so I remember just having a conversation with a friend and just talking. Here's where I'm at. It's the first time I'd ever done it.
Wow.
And no one had taught me how to do it. I was desperate.
You had to get it out.
And there's a verse in the Bible that says we find healing through confession. In other words, when we get something out, it's therapeutic, and we can medicate on pills, and we can medicate on another drink or a cigarette or another game of golf. We're medicating our soul, when really I think the most therapeutic thing we can do is have a conversation. And so what I'm seeing over and over again is men, and they're having a midlife crisis, a quarter life crisis, some sociologists say now. They're like getting to 25 and don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And because they've been spending their life trying to please and live up to a standard they just can't attain. And I'm seeing these guys all the time. I'm struggling, and it's a symptom of something deeper. And like, my friend, you're not designed to carry that. And so, to your point, people are coming into our church at the moment. What we're seeing is, and they can breathe because they can come in and struggle.
Yeah.
They can come in
It's okay.
and not even believe what I believe. They can come in and find camaraderie. They can come in and have a conversation without a pressure to try and be something or someone that they're not. And it's just been a relief for people.
Right. Yeah. And in the book that you recommended, which is Wild at Heart.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think is a phenomenal read for everybody. I'm going through it right now and reading through this, and it talks about like the masculinity that Jesus had, right? And a lot of times we're brought up to believe just be a nice guy, don't make any waves, be the perfect, nicely dressed guy, that's not the reality of today, right? We're struggling with different things, and we come in with with scars and bruises and things like that, but like you said, it feels like a sense of relief, and you always come out feeling better, right? Kind of a bit more whole and with hope to say, okay, no matter what I've done, I have hope, right? I have a path forward. And that's like you said, it's a huge sense of relief. When I was doing executive coaching, a big part of that with executives was just letting them speak, like you said. And a lot of times the answers come out when they're hearing themselves talk and kind of helping guide them, right? And so I think there's a huge part in that, in letting people kind of get it out.
I just think that we are better as human beings when we're relaxed. Like, that's why people perform better in training than they do in games.
Sure.
It's because the stakes are higher in the game, because it's about performance. But when you're relaxed, you're a better contributor to your family, you're a better contributor to your business, you're a better contributor to society, because you're relaxed, you are you. But when the game's on and the spotlight's on and there's risk and there's what if I'm misunderstood, and I just feel like we're carrying this pressure. And so in the Bible, we are described as sheep, but we live like oxen. And if you put the pressure that an ox carries on a sheep, it will kill it.
Yeah.
Which tells me I am not designed to carry the amount of stress that society is telling me I need to be carrying. And if there is that stress, how am I carrying it on my own? I can't.
Yeah.
I need a friend. I need a guy.
To feel like, hey, I'm not the only one thinking this, because you look there and you think, oh, everyone's doing great, everyone's killing it, everyone's doing amazing, and I'm here carrying that burden. You don't realize they're all doing the same thing, but they're kind of faking it. And so on social media.
And that when we have to remind people all the time, hey, there's people here today, and you're carrying shame.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your internet history says. It doesn't matter what you were up to last week. It doesn't matter. We've all got some junk in the trunk. We've all got a skeleton in the closet.
Yeah.
But if we're not careful, those things can eat away at us. And so what we need is people around us that can just hold up our arms when we're feeling tired and weak. And I think that was where my breakthrough came with that depression that I was suffering. I'll never forget it. I had this man, I'd never met him in my life.
Wow.
But he's just an older guy, seasoned, probably saw this young guy struggling in his early 20s. And he says, you're going to walk out here, you'll be different. You won't struggle with this stuff for much longer. And I don't know if I just needed a bit of hope spoken into my life.
Right.
But that was the last minute I felt depression. I ain't had depression, not for a day, not for 13 years.
Wow.
Not for, and I think, man, if that word could shift something in an internal atmosphere in my life, man, we gotta start having a culture of encouragement. The word encouragement means to put courage into someone, and I just think there's so much criticism in the world.
Yeah.
And so someone said, the reason that criticism is stronger than encouragement is because most of our meetings go like this. Most of our conversations go like this with our family, with our boss. Hey, yeah, great job with that, but you didn't do this. And you specifically said you're going to do this. And the thing is, you've said you're going to do that, and now this is what's happened. And the reason that our criticism is more powerful is because our encouragement is vague, but our criticism is specific. And I just think, what would it look like if we turn the tables and flip the script to be so specific with our encouragement, which I think why consultation and coaching is so helpful, because you're actually getting to grips. You're not reducing the issue. No, we're going to be real with the issue, but let's celebrate what's going well. Let's celebrate what you're doing well. And I think it just gives us courage to be able to deal with the things that we need to deal with.
Yeah. So there was a quote that says, if you impute a virtue on someone, meaning like you tell them not necessarily, where they are now, but you encourage them as to kind of what you see in them.
Yeah.
They gravitate towards that, right? They start moving towards it. And the same thing could be the other way around. As a kid, if you're riding a bike and you say, hey, watch out with that rock, what are you going to do? You're going to just stare at the rock until you hit it, right? Right? Instead of saying, focus on the recovery point, kind of focus on where the vision is as to where you want to be, you tend to focus on the problem.
Yeah.
And when you say, even if you say, don't hit the rock, your brain is still thinking rock.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you say, don't do it or do it,
true.
you're still thinking rock, right? So you got to think, okay, recovery, what can your life look like? And what do others see in you?
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times when my daughter makes a mistake and so forth, I say, come on, you're better than that. You're better than that, right? And all of a sudden you think, oh, well, why'd I do that? That's beneath me. I should have. So it's not so much focusing on that, but almost like focusing on the recovery point, And I think that speaking that hope into people, you're kind of giving them that recovery point. You're not nailing them on the specificity of how they did, wrong.
Yeah, because we all get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not if, it's when.
It's when.
We're going to get something wrong.
How many times per week?
What's my new internal response
exactly
to that? Am I going to go back into that spiral?
Yeah, exactly, because it can quickly spiral.
So I love the idea of selective ignorance. Selective ignorance. We've got a mental capacity about what we can bring in. And so sometimes, even my wife, she'll, I've got to focus on the task. This is going on. And say, hey, I don't need to. Do I need to know this at all? Or do I need to know it now? Or do I need to know it later? And really helping each other with it, because we just got so much. We got so much information. In fact, one sort of scroll on your feed is probably more information that previous generations had in a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we're mentally...
And there's so much RAM. There's so much short-term memory, that usable memory that you can use, but if you clog it up with things that aren't necessarily important at the moment, it's almost like just-in-time delivery, right? Let me deal with that a little bit later. Let me hit on the priorities first.
Absolutely.
And do that, because you can only take on so much. And then that adds into the stress, anxiety, and you're just, you feel like you have so much going on in your mind. It's not easy.
It's true. And it's almost like what some sociologists have said, even with their observations about church and about community, is that mental fatigue has played a huge part in people coming to church or returning to church, and to try and find connection that's not on social media.
Yeah, exactly. People are connected more than ever, but they're disconnected. They feel that disconnection of the soul, right, with a sense of community.
It's true.
They feel by themselves. So then let's go back to Sozo Church and your influence here. it's a very diverse church, very young, very edgy, which you guys do an amazing job in the branding and the marketing. Tell me about how that fits to Miami culture and why it's working so well and so many people are flocking to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like, we've seen the church has nearly doubled in size since we got there, and trying to add some services, and it's incredible. Like, it's great, but I think any organisation, any church will take on the personality of the people it's leading. In some ways, it has to, or it will by default. But it's something I wrestled with for years because I wasn't comfortable with me. I thought I had to be like every other, at least pastor in my mind, that wore a three-piece suit with a shoulder-padded blazer or wore the stuff. And I wrestled with God. Like, God, it's not me. Like, I've never felt I fitted in. And it wasn't until I started to admit it that I didn't fit in that actually I realised I believed some lies about myself. But my greatest contribution is when I am myself. I am a bad version of someone else.
Right.
I'm a terrible version of someone else. Because it's not me. So the stories in the Bible, like, David, he's going to fight Goliath, and the king, whose name's Saul, says, wear my armor. And David's like, it doesn't fit me. And if he wore what didn't fit, he would have lost the fight. And I think it's just a great picture, a great metaphor for life, that we just try and put on other people's armor, other people's mindset.
Expectations.
It's not us. Yeah. And I think we the greatest contribution I can make to my family, to my community, is when I am myself. And again, it comes back to what is my dream? I want to see other people living theirs. And so I don't want to force our church to be something it's not, which is why it's diverse. I think we're given permission. We say chill out. Just calm down. Be yourself. Just come.
And it takes courage to be authentic.
It does.
Because you're kind of exposing yourself. This is just who I am. And is that good enough? Right? Is that acceptable enough? And I completely understand, because when I started my career off with the Caterpillar and worked with them for 15 years, but it was in the Midwest, and I felt completely out of place, in the Midwest, a Hispanic kid, very Anglo environment, nobody spoke Spanish, an engineering company. I don't know anything about engineering. I'm a marketing guy, so I completely felt like an imposter for years. And I always felt like I had to fit in, and I had to be someone who I'm not, and I had, and it weighs on you. It's crazy, right? Because that's the expectation of the organization, but like society, same thing we were talking about. But why I gravitated to you guys, I've been to a lot of different churches, and Catholic and Christian and so forth, kind of trying to find my way, but your authenticity was striking, right? Sometimes you'll wear a leopard jacket, right? And it's
is that your wife's cardigan? No,
yeah, exactly. No, but it's fantastic. That's what makes you so appealing, is that you're like, this is me, right? And this, and I have issues too, right? And I've gone through struggles as well, and it makes you so relatable that people are like, oh, yeah. So, but it takes courage to do that, like you said, right? It's not easy to do.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that.
So, Sozo Church, we changed the branding name of it, right? It used to be Brave Church. Why did you choose Sozo?
Names in the Bible are very, very important. So there's a man called Paul, the Apostle Paul, who wrote a third of the New Testament. His name was Saul, and he had an encounter with God that changed who he was, transformation. And his new name that he was given from Paul reflected the mission that God had given him. Saul was a Hebrew name. He was a Pharisee. But Paul is a Roman name, a Gentile name, a non-Jewish name. And his now mission was not to the Jew, it was to the Gentile. And so I was really having this sense of there was a bit of an identity crisis, because I think Brave's a great name, but I think I didn't want to be known as something you have to be. I don't think a human being has to live a life that has to be brave all the time. Like, brave, I've got to be brave. I've got to be brave because I'm in something. Like, and I thought, well, okay, I get it. And there's times you have to be brave.
Yeah.
But if you have to live brave, and so where is it? Well, I think it was appropriate for a season. When it came into this this new season, we'd been here for a year and a half. We didn't change much when we first come.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's honouring the people. I think too much, too fast, too soon is confusing for people. Once we got to know Miami, once we got to know our neighbours, I mean, Westchester, I don't know, 80% Spanish speaking. Once we'd got to know sort of our church, I think we spent so many hours sharing meals with people in our church. We really had a sense of not only where we'd been, but also where we were going. And we really felt just to change the name, just change the whole atmosphere. Miami is a vibrant city. It's creative, and creativity is something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
First thing we read about God in the Bible, He's creative. In the beginning, God created. We're made in His image. That's the first thing we read about humanity. Yeah. So what I know about myself is I am made in the image of a God who is creative, and I want to release that. And so. Fantastic. Yeah, it really become a bit of a motivation, a bit of a sense of conviction that we've got to change our name. And
it's a very modern church, like I said. And I think your way with words, you have a very creative way with words that, you compare different things and, different words. I think you have a closet dream to be a rapper because you're so good with words. I don't know, but you need to check it out. And if you can't make it to the church, they also have a YouTube channel. So let's talk about that, because the whole concept of like a digital church, right? How did you mention a digital congregation?
It's almost like a digital disciple.
A digital disciple, and you were meeting people where they are. Right, we're busy. A lot of times we can't make it, but you still want to connect and listen.
Would you say you're an introvert or an extrovert?
No, I was an extrovert most of the time.
I'm an introvert. Now, I visited a new church only recently when I was I was speaking somewhere in Louisiana, and I was freaking out. I'm a pastor.
Mm-hmm. You do this day in and day out.
I didn't want to go in on my own. I was waiting for my buddy to hurry up. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to behave. I thought, wow, I need to do this more often, because this is how people feel coming into my church. They're coming in expecting something and experiencing something else. Man, it'd throw me. And so we say that the new church lobby is social media. Mm-hmm. And what I would do if I was a new person, if I wasn't in church, I wouldn't come in. I don't know how I would even begin that, because I'm an introvert. I'm shy, believe it or not.
Wow.
And so I would be, and this is what we're seeing. People are going on social media, they're going on YouTube before they ever step foot in a church. And I think that's the benefit.
It's almost like taking the test drive before you commit.
It is. It's giving people a bit of a feel. Sometimes we get people calling us, "Hey, I'm coming, and I've got a child who gets overstimulated. Hey, can you help us? Can we?" And any way we can serve and make someone's experience easier, we would absolutely do it. But I think COVID really changed the world in that way. So I'm not sure what it was like in Miami, but in the UK, for a year, maybe over a year, we couldn't meet in church. All of a sudden, it changed the church. It changed the UK. People were not in church. We were not allowed to be in church. And so we brought church to people's living rooms and lounges and bathrooms, and wherever they had a device, we were there.
Sure.
And we started streaming, and the church has never looked back.
Yeah.
It's caused a renaissance in the church. It really has. What is being described in the UK at the moment as a silent revival, where there's more than an intrigue. There's a desperation. There's a confusion. Like, I create for more. Why do I feel this way? And they're starting to come back to places that they've not been since Christmas when they were 4 years old.
Right, exactly.
And so being online and being able to have that that present. It's just an extension of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helps us serve our community, those who are in hospital, those who are ill, they can't make it, those who are in our community and they're just looking for something, and a try before you buy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's really helped us connect with people outside of our church, in our community, in a more deeper way, I think.
And you do some programs, one program called Sons, one called Daughters, which I thought was tremendously creative and really beneficial, because a lot of kind of our wounds come from childhood, right? And come from our relationships with our dad, our mom, right? Like little things that wounded us, right? That we carried on. And if you don't get that out in a way that, in a safe space where you can kind of talk about it, it's tremendous, right? And so that was something about those programs and the impact that it's had on the folks.
So everyone's got a wound from a word that Dad spoke about when he was frustrated that landed on your tender heart as a child. And words shape us, like, more than we care to admit. We're told, have thick skin. Yeah, but that's difficult when you're a child.
Yeah.
You're formed more than you can even begin to imagine when you're a little boy or girl. So I stopped running when I was 13 years old. I was a very good runner. I ran in one race at school. I won the race, and the teacher, his friend's child was in my class, and he wanted him to win the race. And so he said, Boyle, do another lap, you're cheating. And I was 12 years old, 13 years old. I was like, sir, I've won. I was proud. And
right.
He said, no, you're lying. Do another lap. I never raced the race again. He stole my confidence. And I never understood why that bothered me until I was sitting in therapy just a couple of years ago. I said, I don't know why I keep thinking of this story. And she says, because the little boy had an injustice done to him and no one spoke up for him. And I realised in that moment that wound had shaped a lot of me, not wanting to put myself out there.
Wow.
Not having the confidence to try new things. And I just think there's a lot of people living under a limitation of things that have been placed on their life, guilt or shame or whatever. And so we say in our church, your wounds can become your womb. It will birth dysfunction if you don't deal with the wound. It's a womb. And so with Sons, it's just a group of men, like from young adults right through to, you've been there, like men in their 60s, 70s, all kind of ages. And we have breakfast and we talk and we just have an environment where people can connect. We have a message, we hang. The offshoot of that, we've got guys in running clubs and sparring together, boxing, fishing. The girls, they do brunch. They raised $10,000 for helping with girls stuck in human trafficking here in Miami.
No kidding. Wow.
Coral Gables is the worst zip code in the United States for that, apparently.
No.
So together, wow, the girls getting together, doing something for society is a beautiful thing. But I think those spaces have opened up people to rise up into their potential and just give them the confidence that they've not got from in other spaces.
Absolutely. Wow. So what is the future of Sozo Church? And actually, you know what? Before we get to there, I want to do a little personal thing here. Getting to know Matt. What do you think of Cuban food? What do you think of the cafecito, right? And what else has struck you about Miami and that you love to do here?
I'm basically Cuban. Let me just go and say that right now.
You've been baptized in.
My gosh,
into Westchester.
If you cut me now, it just pour out cafecito. It's in my veins. I love cafecito. I love I love the culture of cafecito.
Yeah.
I love going to the little
window
and we, before every run we do on a Saturday morning, one of my buddies, he brings a little thermo flask, and we have our cafecito. We cheers and we run.
Nice.
I love cafecito. Love Cuban food.
Nice.
Love Cuban food.
Yeah.
It is my kids are. You ask them what they want: black beans and rice.
That's hilarious, man. And what else? Where's your favorite restaurant? Where do you like to eat? Where do you like to go? What do you like to do?
I mean, we're so spoilt for choice. So my perfect day would look like a run across Key Biscayne.
Yeah.
Cocoa Plum Circle. Stop off in the Grove, get a coffee.
Nice.
Just run and just breathe it in, soak it in. I love the active lifestyle that Miami gives. It will be then to go out for brunch, berries at the Grove.
Yes.
Go
Phenomenal.
fishing, take my little boy fishing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great bonding moment, right?
It is. I think there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
There's so much to do it. But we love the culture. We love that our kids are saying words that we didn't understand. We're asking ChatGPT. Estoy aprendiendo español.
There you go.
Estoy usando ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly.
So our little girl, she's in they only speak Spanish at her nursery. She's 2. So she comes back and says, mas. Oh, baby.
And they absorb it like that, right?
Besos. Like it's incredible. So I think the diversity, our kids are getting an education on life. Ourselves, we are keen to learn Spanish. It's something that we are planning on doing.
Yeah.
But we just love it. We love the culture. We love the diversity of the Americas, and that are all. It's a melting pot of culture, and I think it makes Miami a better place.
Absolutely. So I think it's one of the most fabulous places to live because there's so much to do, so much to learn, and just let me tell you, the sunshine just has a tremendous effect on you, right? Positively, coming from England.
Especially when you've not seen sun or even blue sky in about a month. My gosh, it will change your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So what has been, I always ask our guests this, was there a moment in your life that was a game changer for you where it just kind of changed the trajectory, right? Where it was like an aha moment or something that really had a huge impact on your life?
Yeah, January 2022. It was the genesis of us being here. And, it's just part of my daily rhythms. Get up early, walk my dog. I read whether that's devotionally in the scriptures or a leadership book, just to grow my leadership. But I was reading a Bible this particular morning in the early hours in the English countryside. And I just read this verse it's never happened in my life. It felt like it was reading me. And I'd always had a dream to move to America. And yet this verse, it just said about a man called Abraham. It said, Abraham left his father's household, left his country, and went to a land the Lord would show him. I was so convicted and convinced we were moving to America. 2 weeks later, me and my wife handed in our resignation at the church that we'd been at for the last 9 years as pastors. They said, where are you going? I went, America. They were confused. Who with? I went, I don't know. Where are you moving? I don't know. I'd never even been to Florida. I'd never been to Miami. First time I came to Miami was for to get voted in. I was convinced.
Wow.
I was convinced. And we were believing and buying our first home for years. We were about to. We were in the process. And I said to my wife, if someone gave me a house, a car, to just stay in England for another year, I said I would run in the opposite direction. Because this has caught a hold of me, and I am sure, as I was going to marry you, that we are going to America. And no one knew, but door after door kept opening up. Opportunity kept opening up. Our visa process took 2 months from start to finish. It takes a year minimum,
right?
I'm told. It's the fastest they'd ever seen it happen. And it changed my life. I think saying yes to risk, I'm addicted to risk. I can't get comfortable. I can't stay in the old season. If seasons tell us something about the rhythm of life, it's only for season. You might like spring, but get ready. Summer's coming. You might enjoy winter, but get ready to get your cardigan out because winter is coming. Change is necessary.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, there's something so deep in me. I think that moment really helped to germinate in my life and grow in my life is I don't ever want to settle.
Wow.
I don't ever want to settle. And in fact, it's the idea of a book that I'm starting to write. The idea of don't settle before you arrive. And it's almost become a life mantra.
Yeah.
Don't settle. Most people in life, they settle before they arrive because they've chosen the comfortable over their conviction.
Well, the only constant is change in our
Absolutely.
life, right? And you can't have one foot on the dock and the other on the boat.
It's true.
It's almost you got to have both feet on the boat. You got to go. you got to go to discover the new lands, but that takes tremendous courage. And especially, you have kids. It's not like you're single and you can just, sleep on someone's couch. No, you can't just take your family and without a plan. And how do you get paid?
Moving with 3 kids was no joke.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine. And so did you, how did that contract with Sozo Church in Miami come about?
Someone who I studied with, they just sent me the Instagram page of the church and said, I think you should check them out. I wasn't interested in checking them out because it was so premature. And they had no idea that we were thinking of America. I had no idea. I knew nothing, if I'm honest, about Miami. Only Will Smith's
Welcome to Miami.
Miami Vice. I didn't really know anything. I was really ignorant. But 7 months later, at this point, I'm living in South Wales in the UK, doing my masters. We're living in a spare room of my wife's granny because we were willing to pay whatever price it took to follow what we felt was God's call. We gave up family, friends, job, everything. And I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and the only thing I could remember was that Instagram page. The only thing that was coming in my head, I thought, why am I thinking about this? And so I did a Google search, and I realised, there's a vacancy. Like in the UK, you don't apply for church jobs. It's through connection. So it's foreign to me. So in that moment, 4 o'clock in the morning, my wife's sleeping next to me. I put a resume together, send it. And then at that point, I'm travelling to the north of England in Manchester from Wales to go and do my master's degree. I was there for a week. On the way back, I get a call from Miami. We'd like to interview you. So I interviewed them while I was on a trip. I was speaking in Canada, had a layover in San Francisco. I was in San Francisco. The hotel was so bad, like it was 1 star. There was no chair in the hotel room. I fell off my suitcase whilst having the interview. Everything was against me. Nothing could be set up in my view at the time. And then they wanted to interview again, and it felt like a glove getting onto a hand. It felt like a divine connection.
Right.
And I just think there's some things you're called to in life that you don't always find. You can't always find it. It will find you when you just be faithful to what you're doing in the moment. So it was honestly, without over spiritualizing it, it was a divine connection, an answered prayer. And we have never in our lives felt as connected to a group of people. I can say that. I'm nearly 40 years old. I've never felt more in love with a group of people. Never felt more connected. I've never felt more at home. We don't speak the language of Spanish, but we feel more connected than we ever have. And it's our hope to see Sozo churches planted around America, around the world.
Yeah. Well, we're blessed to have you here in our community, my friend. You have impacted the lives of thousands, if not tens of thousands of folks here in South Florida, and you're going to keep doing that for the foreseeable future.
Good man.
If you need to share this, which you do need to share this with others, because you could be the game changer in their life by sharing this special message. There was a lot of golden nuggets here, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Love you. Thank you so much.
Love you, brother. And make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with somebody who needs to hear it, my friends. You could be the game changer in their lives.